सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
Very well. Let us chant the first 5 verses of Bhaja Govindam. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. Samprapte sannihite kale, nahi nahi rakshati dukrankarane. मूढजहि हि धनागमतृष्णां कुरु सद्बुद्धिं मनसि वितृष्णाम् यल्लभसे निजकर्मोपात्तं वित्तं तेन विनोदय चित्तम् नारीस्तनभरनाभिदेशं दृष्ट्वा मागामोहावेशम् एतन्मांसवसादिविकारं मनसि विचिन्तय भारं भारम् नलिनीतलगतजलमतितरलं तत्त्वजीवितमतिशयचपलम् विद्धिव्याध्यभिमानग्रस्तं लोकं शोकहतं च समस्तम् यावद्वित्तोपार्जनसक्तः तावन्निजपरिवारो रक्तः पश्चाज्जीवति जर्जरदेहे वार्तां कोऽपि न पृच्छति गेहे।
Throughout the Shastras, we will be hearing it is about Shravana. Listen to the study, keep hearing, study, keep hearing. Here is starting with a unique start. Bhaja, worship. Everywhere it starts with Shravana. Here he starts with Bhaja. Bhaja means worship. We'll be going into the details of all that. Once we get into the verse, we'll see all that in detail. A perfect combination, a perfect confluence of mind and intellect, which is called as in the layman's term, what is known as the head and the heart. A perfect confluence of the head and the heart is vital for your spiritual growth. This is something that has to be very clearly understood. Now, there are predominantly, all human beings can be broadly categorized into three. The first type is the predominant intelligence-oriented, thinking-oriented. They go on thinking, arguing, but they don't reach anywhere. Second is, there are these emotion, heart-dominated, mind-dominated, emotion-dominated people. They sing, they dance, but there is no understanding backing that. So one set of people, you find a dry intellection of talking and arguing, talking and arguing, talking and arguing, but nothing, no change happens in them. That is the heart, that is the intelligent, the intellect dominated people. Another is the mind dominated. What is actually needed is the third type, which is a confluence of both, who have made full use of the mind and intellect. The person who has made the proper use of the emotion and knowledge. Even in this classroom, sometimes it appears as though emotions are all completely ignored and all these practices we don't even talk about. So it appears to be like the first dominated people, even this class. But actually, in reality, we are trying the combination of, actually, I should not say combination, we are trying the confluence. The confluence of knowledge and devotion. Always, this is very, very important to understand. If we don't understand this combination, either I will be saying knowledge and no emotion, or emotion and knowledge, and there is always a fight between the, and there is always a contradiction between the two. You can say devotion is the culmination of knowledge and knowledge is the beginning of devotion. You can say it like that also. Because a human being has both. Since a human being has this mind and intellect, both of them have to be transformed. If you get stuck to one and completely ignore the other, the Upanishad gives the example of a person with knowledge only, without any devotion, without any bhavana, without knowledge. Who is that person? The Upanishad says that person like a desert, it says. That person will be like a desert. Very clean, but nothing will grow there. Like the desert, very clean, but nothing will grow there. Clean, but seedless. Vast, without any depth. That happens only intellect. On the other side, you find people only emotion. If the devotee, if the bhakta has not passed through the process of knowledge, then his bhakti itself is very shaky, very unfirm. Because one or two things not going in your way itself will be enough to shake your devotion. That's why all the people who are in devotion stops the practices of devotion if one thing doesn't go wrong, if one thing goes wrong in their life. Now, that one thing going wrong could be invariably either the loss of the business or death of the near one. If any of these things happens, all the faith and trust and devotion in the God vanishes, because the devotion is not backed by the firm understanding of knowledge. Always remember this example we keep talking. The devotee is like a blind man and the knowledgeable person is a lame man. Whenever you study Vedanta, you should be able to remember this. If you miss this, then we will be stuck in any one extreme and not progress at all. That's why people come and say, why are we not progressing? Why are we not progressing? Because you are excessively attention to one and the other is completely ignored. So we all have heard this story any number of times. A blind person and a lame person were caught in a fire in a jungle. The blind man could not run away as could not see. He had strong legs and feet and could save himself by running away. But he cannot. Why? Because he is blind. Lame person could see the path. Lame person could see the path. He could see which part of the jungle has not yet caught fire, but he could not run as he was lame. The Upanishad says, how did they escape? How did they escape? The blind man carried the lame man, and both the blind one carried the lame one, and both escaped. It means both escaped the forest fire by virtue of what? By becoming one, they overcome their shortcomings. Remember this. By becoming one, when they attained the confluence, both were able to overcome the specific shortcomings. Every instrument has a specific shortcoming. Now, only when both comes together, those shortcomings can be avoided. Invariably, in the name of Vedanta, they say, no, Bhakti is not at all there. In the name of Bhakti, they say knowledge and all is useless. All that you have to do is simply chant the God's name. The near and dear is lost. The child is lost. How can you sit and chant the Lord's name? Then all the Bhakti gets evaporated. In order to save yourself, confluence of head and heart. That is very, very important. In order to bring about this understanding, Shankara starts this text in a very different way. Atma Bodha, he will talk about the 4 necessary qualifications, Shravana, Manana, all that he will talk. In Bhaja Govindam, straight he is starting with, actually the text is Moha Mudgara, but we call it as Bhaja Govindam because it's always easy to remember the first 2 words of the text. So we say Bhaja Govindam, but actually speaking, in Moha Mudgara, he uses the word, the starting word is Bhaja. Bhaja means, like when we go there, we will see those details. But right now, what we have to understand is confluence of mind and intellect is what growth will be. Because you have both, you have to make use of both. Knowledge is a support of devotion. Devotion is a support of knowledge. You should know how to make both support each other. That is the challenging factor in the spiritual path. To take one side is always very easy. To take one extreme side and say, knowledge is very easy. To take the other extreme of emotion and bhakti and bhajan is very easy. But to maintain a harmonious confluence is difficult. It will be a fortunate moment. You have reached a very high level of growth, a proper level of growth, where you can dance with understanding. When you can dance with understanding, dancing is bhakti. Understanding is knowledge. When both combines, there is an integrated, that is known as integrated path, and Bhaja Govindam is about both. That's where even the sadhanas that he's going to give right through will be always a combination of this. And we saw the glory of Shankara. The glory of Shankara is the indication of the confluence. What is the glory of Shankara? The glory of Shankara is such that you will never see a person, very difficult to see a person who has the integration of all this. Shankara is this combination. As he can come up with as he can come up with logical analysis on the Prasthanatraya, the Bhashyas, not only the Prasthanatraya Bhashyas, his original independent works called Prakriyas, introductory textbooks to the study of Vedanta. The Bhashyas of him is extraordinary. The Prakriyas in him explains his intellect. His devotional hymns talk about his bhakti. So you always find a combination of both in him. So in Atma Bodha, you will find a different Shankara. In Bhaja Govindam, you will find a different Shankara. How can the same person approach it in a different way in Bhaja Govindam? And how can the same person approach it in a different way from Atma Bodha? But nevertheless, when he is teaching the highest, you can call it as metaphysics and devotion, emotion, because both are so contradictory by definition. Both doesn't seem to confluence at all. But the proper knowledge and understanding, the proper growth is the confluence of head and heart, the confluence of mind and intellect. So always remember, it is the confluence that is very important. Shankara, as a teacher, by living that life itself, is elaborating. Shankara elaborates. This is the text that we are going to study, called Moha Mudgara. We have seen already. Moha means delusion. Mudgara means delusion remover, the delusion lifter, the delusion hammerer. Hammerer means it will make sure that it doesn't exist. What is this moha? Anything transient, temporary is very attractive, and all that you get attracted to will be followed by misery. This is moha. Again, I repeat, what is the definition of moha? This is moha. Moha means the transient is always attractive. Anything that has a very short life is very attractive, very beautiful. Anything that is going to be there for a long period of time is not that attractive. Is not that attractive. Old age seems to be there for a long period of time, isn't it? Youth is there only for is there only for a few years, isn't it? The youthhood is there only for a few years. It's so beautiful, it's so attractive. The old age seems to be there for a long period of time. So what is moha? Transient will be followed by misery. Thinking that the joy and happiness that you get out of the transient will be permanent is moha, delusion. What is moha? The joy that you get out of the transient, the joy that you get out of the temporary will be long lasting, will be there for a long period of time. Permanent is moha. External world is so attractive because it is so transient. Brahman is not that attractive because it is permanent. You can come to it at any point of time, isn't it? The world is not like that. If you miss it, you miss it. Therefore, you have to rush. Brahman will wait all the time, isn't it? Where can Brahman go? Where can God go? Because God is. So anything permanent, you are not attractive. Anything transient, where can God go? Isn't it? Where can God go? For God, in Tirupati, he's standing 24/7, 365 days, isn't it? He doesn't sit at all, even for a, again, we go see him for a minute and come back and sit and sleep, isn't it? It is not that permanent is not attractive. The transient is attractive. That is moha. Moha is the attraction to the transiency without realizing the misery that you are going to face. Attraction to the transiency without understanding the consequence is moha. Are you able to understand the definition of moha? Moha mudgara means this wrong understanding he is trying to remove. Delusion lifter means this wrong understanding he is trying to remove it from us. In chasing the transient and dancing for a moment, you will be sitting and crying for the rest of the life. That is moha, the useless chase. The useless chase is actually you don't gain anything by chasing the transient. Let's remember this. By chasing the temporary, by chasing the transient, you don't gain anything at all, because the momentary pleasure is followed by unlimited misery. He is going to take up the Kanchana, he is going to take up the Kaman, he is going to explain all that. To explain all that, we are moving into the Bhaja Govindam now. How to have an happiness that will not turn into misery? First of all, you should know how to ask this question. A person who knows how to ask this question, Bhaja Govindam Vedanta will make lot of sense. How to have an happiness that will not change into misery. Remember that. Try to remember this. Always try to remember. Always try to remember this. All the happiness that you have, that you experience, is necessarily going to turn into misery. It means, what are you preparing yourself for? What are your whole life preparation is for what? To be in misery, to be in sorrow, to be in suffering. And then you come and ask, why? Shankaracharya will say, that's what you have prepared to know. What do you want us to do? God will say, what do you want me to do? You are well grounded. You have prepared yourself so much to be in misery. And then you will come and ask, why am I in misery? Because you have never asked this question. What is the question? Have you ever asked how to have a happiness that will not turn into misery? If you want to have that happiness that will not turn into misery, you have to shift your attention from transient to the permanent. If you want that, shift your attention from transient to the permanent. If you say, no, I'm all right to be in misery. I'm all right to be in misery. All that I want is a honey drop when three things are waiting to swallow me. Remember that example we gave last week. Supposing the human being comes and says, all that I want in life is that honey drop, sir. Forget about the three things that are waiting. The three things that we are waiting is the crocodile, the lion, and the python. The python is crawling to catch hold of that fellow. The crocodile is waiting for this fellow will collapse. If he jumps down onto the ground, there is the lion. Moha means a person can't see all that, can't understand all this, and getting a satisfaction from that drop of honey. What is a wise man? Forget about the drop of honey and escape from these three. Find a method by which you can escape these so that you can drown yourself in honey permanently. Where you can drown yourself in honey permanently, why do you want to do this? This is called moha mudgara. This is moha. The attraction to anything is because the attraction to anything is because what an effort you make, what an effort the human being makes to call something as one's own. As long as you do not own it, it is very attractive. The moment you own it, it's gone, isn't it? The moment you own it, it's gone. This is moha. The very belief, the very notion that transiency could be made permanent is moha. How to make the impermanent permanent? How to make the impermanent permanent? The knee joints are impermanent. How to make it permanent? So make a knee joint where every 30 years you can go on changing it. The heart is impermanent. So if I make a heart where you can go on, manufacture a heart where you can go on replacing it. Because you can't have a live heart. Because in order to have a live heart, somebody has to die, no, isn't it? So why does somebody have, so manufacture a heart, manufacture a kidney, manufacture a knee joint, keep manufacturing everything so that what will happen? The transient can be made. Somehow the transient nature has to be eradicated, has to be changed, is moha. How much ever you try, how much ever collectively the human beings try, the transiency cannot be removed. Understand the transient as transient. And then see if you are attracted to it, go. First, understand the transient as transient. Number two, understand that the chase of transiency, the happiness that you are experiencing will be followed by misery. The short period of joy is going to be followed by a long period of sorrow. That's why they say honeymoon period is over, no? When does the marriage start? The marriage doesn't start on honeymoon, isn't it? That's why they say honeymoon period is over. Imagine if you have honeymoon for 50 years and fight only for 2 days. How wonderful it will be, isn't it? But the real life is very different. The few moments of joy is going to be followed by a long period of misery. This is, you understand this and then see if it is attractive. With this understanding, if it is still attractive, if you still want it, go for it. That's okay. But not without this understanding. This is called Moha Mudgara. This is called Moha Mudgara, delusion lifter, delusion remover. With this, we will move on to the text. We'll read verse number 1. Verse number 1 padinga.
Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. Samprapte sannihite kale, nahi nahi rakshati dhukran karane. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. Samprapte sannihite kale, nahi nahi rakshati dhukran karane.
Seek the self, seek the self, seek the self, O foolish mind. At the destined time, mundane activity never indeed would save you. Seek the self, seek the self, seek the self, O foolish mind. At the destined time, mundane activity never indeed would save you. Again, a very unique introduction to the text, where in the beginning itself, the student is a fool. Oh, fool. Actually speaking, should be called as an idiocy, but you don't want to, opening the text itself, we don't want to hear these kind of words. So, oh, foolish mind. Actual meaning is idiocy. Oh, fool, oh, fool, oh, fool. The difference between the fool and an ignorant. Remember this. The world is, there are very few ignorant people. The world is full of foolish people. And there is a fundamental difference between the fool and an ignorant. What is the difference between the fool and the ignorant? We have discussed this any number of times, and it is worth discussing again and again and again. Because how many ever times we discuss, the foolishness is not going. In fact, it is increasing only, isn't it? What is the difference between foolishness and ignorance? A fool is one who thinks he knows when he actually doesn't know. Ignorance says, I don't know, that's it. Ignorance means knowing that I do not know. Fool means thinking you know when you actually don't know. There is a fundamental difference between the two. Most of the time, what happens? People learn the words, and because they know the words, they think they have knowledge. Knowing the words is not having knowledge. Remember this. Knowing the word God is not actually knowing what God is. Because the person has known the word God, he assumes that he knows it. That's why in English they are called professor, isn't it? Professor means one who professes, one who claims that he has, self-proclamation only, isn't it? Self-declaration only. I have knowledge. It's a self-declaration. What is it? Knowing the word, memorizing the word, ability to repeat the word the person believes he has known. A person of extraordinary caliber like Shankara, the Guru alone can see this distinction. The lay person can never see this distinction. A Guru will be able to know this distinction, and then he says, yes. Supposing, sir, if we don't have a Guru, how can we know it for ourselves? You can know it for yourselves also. How can you know it for yourself? How attracted you are to the transient is one indication. How much are you affected by krodha, lobha, mada, matsarya, bhaya, dvesha is another indication. Now, all these are indicators that even though knowledge is there, you don't. Even though knowledge is there, you don't know it. But yet the person believes, I know. So who is a fool? A fool is the person who says, I know. There is a very beautiful Sufi story. It's a very famous story. A scholar uses a ferryman in the village every day to help him cross the river. One day, the scholar picked a conversation with the boatman. What is the conversation? He says, do you know reading and writing? The boatman said, I don't know reading and writing. He said, if you don't know reading and writing, illiterate, 1/4 of your life is wasted. Then, at least do you know basic arithmetics to maintain accounts? Somebody is giving you paisa no every day. So at least you should know some basic arithmetics to keep it. Do you know basic arithmetic? He said, no, that also I don't. Another half life is wasted. Whatever I earn in the day, I spend in the evening. Next morning, again I come. Why do I have to know accounts? He asked. Why do account and all has to be known only by the fellow who is worried about the future, isn't it? Inflation should be worrying to whom? See, no ant is worried about inflation. No lion is worried about inflation. Only a human being who has so much is worried about. Who are the fellow who's worried about inflation, if you see? Actually, the fellow who talk about inflation are the fellows who need not talk about it at all, isn't it? But then that's the Moda Mate that we see. That's the Moda Mate that we see. All over foolish. Because so the boatman said, I earn something in the day, I spend it by the night. Next morning again, I start. You don't even have a medical insurance for your future. Suddenly he said, the boatman said, no, looking at a person like you talking about God and all that, I know there is the God that is supporting me, saving me. Why should I worry about all these things? But sir, in Vedanta, you say do all this. No, correct. Because you don't have belief in God, what do you do? If you don't have faith in God that He is going to save you, you have to do all these things. And one day you will understand all this is not going to save you in any way. And then you will come. Till that time you have to have these things. As in the middle of the river, the storm came. The boat started tossing. This fellow getting scared now. This fellow started getting scared. The scholar who used to talk about deathlessness, Atman is there, Brahman is there, all that will take care. All that what happens is of no use when Yama comes and stands in front of you. In the middle of the river, there is no audience. Yeah, there is no audience, there is no Venkat chanting and all that. Yama is standing right in front. When Yama is standing right in front, and when the boat is tossing and the waves are hitting, isn't it? How much ever you know, when the turbulence hits the flight, what happens? How much ever you understand, when the turbulence hits, normal takeoff lay, there is a fear. Forget about turbulence and all, isn't it? All the talks of God, immortality, nothing comes at that point of time. The ferryman asked, "Do you know how to swim?" Ferryman asked, "Do you know how to swim?" And he said, "I don't know." Then he said, "Your whole life is wasted now. Your whole life is gone because the boat is going to sink. I'm going to jump and your entire investment is on the boat that is sinking. And when the boat drowns, you will drown along with it. You do not know how to jump out. You do not know how to jump. Where will you jump? Because you don't see anything. So you will drown with it. You follow? This is the fool. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bodhamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale. When you are about to be drowned, when death surrounds you, what will help you? What will help you? Shankara says, nothing will help you. No matter how many languages you know, no matter how many lectures you have given, no matter how many pilgrimages you have done, no matter how many things you have given, what matters is what? Absolutely useless. Absolutely useless. The very good starting point of Bhaju Govindam is the Mudamate, and death is the criterion. Kathopanishad material he starts with. Death is the criterion. Whatever is useful at the time of death is wisdom. And whatever is useless at the time of death is foolishness. Are you able to follow? Yama tells this to Nachiketas. In Kathopanishad, Yama tells this. Beautifully he says, keep me as the touchstone, Nachiketas. He says, keep me as the touchstone. What will accompany you when you accompany me? Remember that always. That non-remembrance of that is moha. Cannot remember that. That's why he says, Swamiji always says in the lectures, even the oldest person also thinks he has another 40, 50 years to live, isn't it? Actually, not 40, 50 years, long time to live. Even the person in the ICU is also is of the belief that they'll have a long time to live. Who does not know the truth, but has memorized the words regarding the truth, is a fool. Who has not known the truth, but has memorized the words regarding the truth. Can anything which is useless in death be useful now? Bhaja Govindam will give us a lot of questions like this. Answers are for you. Question, we only ask questions, isn't it? Yeah. கேள்வி நீங்க கேட்குறீங்களா நான் கேட்குறேன் கேள்வி நான் தான் we only know how to ask the question. பதிலா நீங்களே கண்டுபிடிச்சுக்கோங்க. You only know how to Can anything which is useless in death be useful now? What is of no use in death? How can it be useful? How can it be useful now? Understand the difference. One is associating with it. Another thing is believing it is going to save you. There is a difference between the two. The ferryman uses the boat, but he can swim and escape. He is not dependent on the boat. The scholar is dependent on the boat. So what is moha? What is death as a criterion means? Upon what are you dependent at any given point in time in life, even now, including this moment? Including this moment, what are you dependent upon? Before class and after class, different dependency. In the class, clear. Before the class and after the class, different answer. In the class, different answer. In the class, what are you dependent upon? Brahman. After the class, anything, all the things other than Brahman. Who does not know the truth? What truth that person doesn't know? The truth this person doesn't know is it's a sinking boat. It's a sinking boat. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mudamate. One who is not dependent on this practice. Bhaja, the first word, Bhaja. Let us talk about this. Let us try to understand this word Bhaja little bit. So, what is this word Bhaja? Bhaja means a deep agony in your inner being for the truth is Bhaja. A sound arises from your inner depth is Bhaja. Lot of people doing bhajan, singing the song of the divine, but there is no bhaja at all in it. Why? Either it is a recreation. Most of the time it is a recreation. That's all. Somebody likes to get entertained in some type of music. These people like to get entertained by this type of music. That's all. There is no inner longing for it. There is no inner craving for it. Bhaja means a constant flow of remembrance of the divine. That is Bhaja. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. Bhaja means a continuous remembrance. A constant, continuous remembrance is Bhaja. Remember, that means it only starts, it never ends. Bhaja means that which starts but never ends. Bhajan session ku wangon kupanu, isn't it? And then samosa, tea also has to be, what all has to be given. Yeah. To invite wangon kupanu, isn't it? Adugutta kuda people don't come. Next is, we will send a vehicle at your doorstep to pick you up. You come. Appo kuda, oh, varnuma, isn't it? No, we will come and sing in your house also. But this week I am not available. Next week, can you? What is Bhaja? Bhaja is a continuous remembrance. Something that starts but never ends. Something that starts. It's there. It's there in you. One part of you is constantly chanting that. One part of you is constantly remembering that. Chanting means remembrance. So understand it like that. It is such a constant remembrance. It's called bhajan. Invariably, what happens? People don't have this deeper understanding of the word bhaja. Bhaja means worship. Bhaja means worship. Definitely, there is a ritualistic routine. There is offering of flower, a chanting of mantras, hymns. All this is an essential, integral part of it. But when you are doing all this, are you seeking identity with it? Then that makes it bhajan. Bhaja means a ritual. There is a ritualistic routine, offering of flowers, chanting of some mantras, hymns. When you are doing all these, are you seeking identity with it? Are you wanting to become one with it? Are you longing for it? That makes it bhajan. Now, and this longing will continue even if the chanting is stopped. Even if the ritualistic portion comes to an end, if the offering of flowers comes to an end, if the chanting of the hymns comes to an end, the seeking doesn't stop. That which doesn't stop, even at the stop of the ritual, the chanting, etc., is called bhajan. Are you able to follow now? You should use it to remember that. But doing by itself is not that. While doing that, you seek an identity, and when the ritual stops, the seeking continues. It's not that the ritual stops, the seeking also stops. Lalita Sahasranama, 1 year break we can take now, isn't it? Bhaja. Navaratri is over, 1 year break we can take. Right. And then something else will come. That break we will take. Now we have to do it only for the next year. You do that so that the remembrance is there. The doing stops, but the longing, the seeking, the remembrance continues. So, what is bhaja now? Bhaja is a remembrance, a constant remembrance, meaning it only starts, but it never ends. That is called bhaja. So, with that, the person may go to a temple, may not go to a temple, or go from temple to temple, or may not even visit a temple and sit in the corner of the room looking at the vacant air. Doesn't matter. The remembrance is the key here. All the other things is helpful to remembrance. That's why the tradition talks about bhakti as various methods. They talk about this bhakti. In fact, it's called 9 methods. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dhasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. 9 methods the bhakti gives. The bhakti tradition gives 9 methods. Shravana means you listen to the greatness of the God, glory of the Lord. Shravana, listening to what? Listening to the glory. Second, Kirtanam. Kirtanam means you sing the glory. That is Kirtanam. The third is Smaranam. Remembrance. Remembrance of what? Remembrance of God, the beauty, the law, the impartiality, all that is called Smaranam. That is called smaranam. Remembering the God. Remembering the nature, the beauty, the law, the impartiality. This is called smaranam. Smaranam about God means understanding the impartial nature of God. Oh, Buck, I am being devoted to you, so I am your priority. Take care of me first. This is not smaranam. Smaranam is recognizing the impartial nature of God. The fourth one is Padasevanam, worshipping the feet. See, worshipping the feet means self-obliteration. The ego is understanding is uselessness at the feet of the God. That is called Padasevanam. Padasevanam is not touching the feet. The ritual of touching the feet should help you to neutralize your ego. Then Padasevanam has a meaning. You touch the feet and the ego is still standing erect. It means what? The Padasevanam is of, there is no Padasevanam at all that is happening. Archana. Archana means the whole lot of things that goes with it. The whole lot of the selected hymns, the mantras, employing the necessary things prescribed for worshipping the Lord is called Archana. For Vishnu, you have to do some, you should not do some. For Ganesha, you have to do some, you should not do some. Doing all, following this completely is called Archana. Then Vandana, paying obeisance. Seventh, serving the Lord, Dasya. Eighth, Sakyam. You stand in front of God and you will have a friendly conversation with God. That is called a Sakyam. Even today, there is this one distant uncle of mine in the village. He retired as the collector. We used to go to the village during the school holidays. There used to be one small Ganesha temple in front of our house. And this man's house is about 20, in the same street, what they call as Agrahara, the same street. The Ganesha temple will be right. Even today, the temple is there. And this man is there handling this temple. It's a wonderful human being. I have seen him. I will wait for him. 9 o'clock, he will come. Somewhere, ours is like a small village. So by the time he finishes the work and everything, he will reach by 8:30, 9 only, he will come. He will not go to his house straight. Straight, he will come to this Ganesha temple. He will stand there and talk to him for 20 minutes. He will talk. You know what happened today? Oh my God. First I thought there's something wrong with him. How can he will talk? What all happened today? That person came, there was, oh my God, 20 minutes of Sakyam, conversation with God. Every day he will do that. Not just one day, not a day only when he was irritated or frustrated in the office. Every day he will come, he will report. Yeah, he will report as though he is, invoke the Lord affectionately and to discuss with God as a friend is Sakyam. That is another important aspect of Bhaja, worship. The last one is you offer yourself as a gift at the feet of Atma Nivedana. Atma Nivedana means you offer yourself completely, total surrender. This is called Bhaja. The essence in all, carefully follow, the essence in all worship is Seva. The essence of worship is seva. It is not just singing, and today it is like an entertainment. They go, they sing, and they go. There is no concept of any seva or service. So the spirit of worship, the essence in all bhaja is seva. That is why they say Ishvara seva is Ishvara bhajana. Jana seva is Janardana seva. This is how the tradition talks. Jana seva. Jana seva means serving those around you is serving Janardana. Bhaja has a deep meaning like this. Without understanding the deeper meaning of the word bhaja, people misunderstand bhaja means entertainment, isn't it? Today it is entertainment only, recreation. When Vedanta says this, it's not saying don't go for bhajan. It's saying the recreation that you get out of it and you get in and get out of it is wrong. Are you able to follow? See, you get in and you get out of it also. What is the definition of bhaja? What is the definition of bhajan? You get in, but you cannot get out. You cannot get out. Ramatirtha says, so much of singing happens, but not a drop of tear. The eyes are so dry, he says. So much of singing happens, but the eyes are so dry. Meaning there is nothing that is happening. Remembrance means nothing has the power to distract. Remembrance means this. Again, I repeat. What is remembrance? Remembrance means nothing has the power to distract. Just as nothing has the power to distract the mother's attention from the child. It's not the mother is constantly looking at the child. The mother is also doing. It's not that the mother is constantly staring at the child. It's not the mother is constantly looking at the child. The mother is doing so many things. In spite of doing so many things, none of those things has the capacity to distract the mother from the child. That is called bhaja. This is necessary, he says. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mudamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukran Karane. So, two words we studied. What are the two words we studied? Bhaja we studied, then we studied Mudamate. So, Bhaja Mudamate. Remember, O fool. Remember, O fool. What you should remember? What you should remember? Govinda. What you should remember? Remember Govinda. Govinda is Vishnu. Govinda means Vishnu. In the Vishnu Sahasranama Bhashya, Shankara has written a Bhashya for Vishnu Sahasranama, one of his extraordinary commentaries. Each and every word he takes up and he elaborates. So, in that elaboration of the Vishnu Sahasranama, he gives the etymological meaning of the word Govinda. If you want to understand the meaning of the word Govinda, you get the meaning of the word Govinda from the same Shankara Bhashya on Vishnu Sahasranama. Vishnu Sahasranama we all understand, isn't it? 1,000 names of the Lord. In the 1,000 names, Govinda is repeated twice. It comes twice, and he gives a detailed elaboration of the word Govinda. Now, what does this word Govinda means? Various meanings he gives. It means cow. One meaning of the word is cow, go. Gavaha, cow, go. All that Sanskrit. One meaning of the word is cow. Another meaning of the word is the protector of the cow. Who's the protector of the cow? Krishna, because he is the protector of the cow. The third meaning of the word is earth. The earth. The fourth meaning is sense organs, indriyas. The fifth meaning is the inner essence. These are the various meanings of the word go. He writes this in the commentary of Vishnu Sahasranama. Maheshwaso Mahirbarta Srinivasa Sakangatihi Aniruddha Suranandaha Govindo Govidam Patihi. This is the shloka. Shloka number 20, Vishnu Sahasranama. There he gives a commentary. Mahavaraho Govinda Sushena Kanakangati. Again, verse number 58. Again, another time he uses the word Govinda. So, go means one who is the master, one who is the savior, one who is the protector. Now, what does he mean by all this? A beautiful derivation we derive from all these meanings, we get a beautiful derivation. What is it? He who knows the earth. One meaning of the word Govinda we said is earth, protector of the earth. He got the name protector of the earth when in one of the avatara when in the Varaha avatara, what he did, the earth was stolen and hidden under the ocean. So what did he do? He went and brought it back. So he is the protector of the earth, the savior of the earth, Govinda. He who knows the earth, meaning one who has realized the substratum upon which the world is. That's why you will find Varaha, the boar, and the earth will be. Have you seen the pictures of Varaha? He will be the boar, and what is it? What does it have? What is it called? Trunk. Elephant only you will call it as trunk. What do you call it for the boar? It has something. No, on that the earth will be saved. It means, what does that mean? The substratum upon which the world is resting is Govinda. That is one meaning. The second meaning is the Lord of the cattle. The Lord of the cattle. It is cows, the Lord of the cows, cattle. Not only as the divine cowherd boy of Gokul. What it means is the very life-giving factor for all passions, the very consciousness, the very consciousness. Another meaning of the word Govinda. The third meaning, he who confers speech, the meaning of the word. The thunderous eloquence of a speaker, the barking of a dog, the braying of an ass. What is all that? What is all that? Trying to communicate something to the other, isn't it? What is all that? Trying to communicate something. The very power by which everything communicates with, meaning all possible, all actions are possible because of that Govinda. Fourth, he who is known through the Vedas. He who is known through the Vedas, the Vedic texts. The Vedic text, the great statements, Mahavakya, through which all that is known is called Govinda. Therefore, this Govinda is translated as self. It is said in the if you read the translation, it is said, seek the self, seek the self, seek the self. Where it is saying, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. Now, how do you translate Govinda as the self? Because of these factors, Govinda is translated as the self. The essential being, the Antaratma in everyone is called Govinda. The popular meaning of the word Govinda is Krishna. Govinda, literal Govinda, people understand it as Lord Krishna. Actually, what it means is the essence upon which the entire substratum is resting. So, to put it in one word, it is known as the self. Seek the self, seek the self, seek the self. Oh, foolish one, Mudamate. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mudamate. This is the first stanza of the verse. The second stanza of the verse. Samprapte sannihite kale, nahi nahi rakshati dukran karne. Samprapte sannihite kale. Samprapte sannihite kale means at the time of, at the destined time, mundane activity never indeed would save you. What is the samprapte sannihite kale? What is the destined time? What is the mundane activity never indeed would save you, for which is using dukran karane. We will take it up in the next class. We'll continue the second stanza of Bhaja Govindam in the next class. A simple, beautiful hymn, sir. You only know how to complicate it. So, you only know how to complicate it so much. Idella, we keep hearing early morning in the house, we put it on and we keep hearing this all the time. And before Bhaja Govindam starts, Rajaji will come and he will speak, isn't it? Before Bhaja Govindam starts, Rajaji will come and speak, and we have never heard him saying all the, in 2-3 minutes, he just finishes off. So instead of simply chant, make us chant and understand the Bhaja Govindam. Or word, if you start explaining, when do we finish? Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bodhamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati, Dukran Karne. What is the Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshate Dukran Karne? We'll continue in the next session. With this, we conclude for today. Thank you.